Welcome students. See, today we will take up the study of chapter 4 of this class titled The Enemy. It has been written by Pearl S. Buck. Now, Pearl S. Buck is a very famous author. She was born in 1892 in USA, but after 3 months of her birth, her family shifted to China, and for 40 years she remained there in China, learning their languages, learning their traditions and all those things, and was highly conversant in Chinese as well as in English language. His best novel she is known for is The Good Earth. As far as introduction of this chapter is concerned, The Enemy, as the name suggests, is it an anti-war story, or is it regarding war, or is it anti-war or pro-war, or does it condemn, or is there, and it shows the illogicality of war? That we will see to it. America and Japan, this is the story that the scene is that America and Japan were at war. The plight of POW is shown here. Next, inner conflict of the doctor who operates upon the patient, who considers him to be a prisoner of war, an enemy. The inner conflict of the doctor and his wife, that is there. And in a very subtle way, the author succeeds in condemning war. Okay. Now, I'll let you know about the summary of this story. As I have already told you, that this story revolves around American-Japan war. Dr. Sadao Hoki was a trained surgical doctor. He had got himself educated at America. All his education was from America. Had settled down in Japan, had a wife and 2 children. He and his wife, Hana, they were standing on the veranda of their home, and it's not far, the seashore is not far away, but there is mist. They can see in a very hazy way. There is mist all around. No person is there on that narrow beach. Suddenly they saw that the ocean had thrown away a man. He was just crawling and stuttering, and after a moment he fell over his face and appeared unconscious. Dr. Sadao and his wife thought that it must be a fisherman, and they rushed to help him. When they reached the spot, they found that the person was badly wounded. He was bleeding profusely, and he was a white man, yellow hair, long beard, yellow beard. When they looked at his cap, it was written, the letters read U.S. Navy. Now, here you can see the dilemma given. Whether to throw this enemy back into the sea, or as a doctor, should he take care of him? First of all, they said that let us throw this person back into the sea. But Hannah refused to help him in throwing away that person. So the second thought that came over them was to take this person in the house, but then they argued between themselves. What will the word say? What will their servants say? Now, there's a very interesting thing which I want to share it with you. Yes. If we sheltered a white man in our house, we should be arrested. And if we turned him over as a prisoner, he would certainly die. This is a dilemma. But as regards, yes, another thing. The doctor says, the strange thing is that if the man were poor, I could turn him over to the police without difficulty. I care nothing for him. He's my enemy. All Americans are my enemy. And he's only a common fellow. You see how foolish his face is, but since he's wounded, now here comes the compassion stage. But then, what would the servants say? We must simply tell them that we intend to give him over to the police, as indeed we must, Sadao. We must think of the children and our position. It would endanger all of us if we didn't give this man over as a prisoner of war. So, ultimately, they decided to take the man in their house. There, the person was that POW American soldier was unconscious all the time. He was profusely bleeding. They took him inside the house where even the mat was all soiled. And when they told the servants that they have brought a person and they intend to hand him over to the police. Now see, their conversation between the gardener and the nanny of the two children of the old man says, gardener says, the master ought not to heal the wound of this white man. He said bluntly to Hannah. The white man ought to die. First he was shot, then the sea caught him and wounded him with her rocks. If the master heals what the gun did and what the sea did, they will take revenge on us. Now the servant says that the sea will take revenge upon them if we heal this person. But the doctor had decided to operate upon him, because the position of the patient was such that he would have died if not immediately operated upon. So Hannah became her attendant. He was operated upon. On the back of his, at the back there was a bullet. During the operation, he took out that bullet, and then the operation appeared to be successful. As the doctor said, he will live. You see, if the doctor says, well, he is an authority, and he says that he will live, then he will certainly live. So he is operated upon, and then he decides to file a complaint against this person to the police authorities. Types it, a bit of it, and then decides not to mail it. He keeps that half-written letter back in his drawer. Now, on this 7th day, the servants decided that they will no more stay in the house. They decided to move away. And another incident happened. As soon as the servants went away from the home, a messenger in police uniform came to their house. The lady of the house, she was all alone. Now there were no servants. On seeing the messenger in uniform, that police officer in uniform, she felt weak. She thought that the servants, one of the servants, might have told everything to the police. She rushed to tell it to Dr. Sadao, who was in his study table. But the messenger was also following me. She was in deep terror. I couldn't speak, only showed Dr. Sadao, pointed out that somebody was there. The doctor too was startled. He stood up and said, "What's it?" The messenger said that he has been called to the palace as the journal is again in pain. Now, you see the conversation, a bit small, bit of. The conversation is that "What's it?" the doctor said. "You are to come to the palace. The old general is in pain." Oh, Hannah hesitated, breathed. वो जो terror था, that the terror was there. She sighed, she took a breath. "Is that all? All?" The messenger exclaimed. A messenger doesn't know what has happened. Is it not enough? So, both are relieved as soon as the messenger goes away. But Hannah says to her husband, I thought they had come to what? Arrest you. He gazed down into her anxious eyes. I must get rid of him, this man, for your sake. Somehow I must get rid of him. How to get rid of him? He went to the jailer, examined him and made him calm, and afterwards told him the whole story, how he had treated a patient, though he is an enemy, a POW. In the chapter, the most hilarious thing I liked is the conversation between the doctor and this general. He says, now he's toying between the two ideas. If I give orders for your arrest, I will lose a very skillful doctor, because you have operated a person who was dying. So you can also save me. And very interesting thing is that what he tells about other doctors. When Dr. Sadao says that there are other doctors also, then this he says that he does not believe these doctors who have been trained by Germans. Why? Because when they operate upon a person, they say the operation was successful and the person died. Oh, I don't want, the general says that I don't want to be in their hands. So, what to do? You can't be sent to the prison, and that man in Sadao's house is all alive. The general thought of a plan. He says that he will send 2 of his private assassins at night to their house, keep the windows open, door open, and they will kill that person silently and not a whisper will be heard, and then take the body away. So you will never know whether that person existed or not. Okay, Dr. Sadao said, fine. And he didn't tell his wife so as not to scare her that 2 assassins may come any moment at night. For 3 anxious nights, Dr. Sadao didn't feel sleepy. He was all awake. He would wake up, he would stand up at the smallest noises there. But for 3 anxious days, no assassin came. And every day in the morning, he would find the white man fast asleep. So he decided to do it away once for all. He tells him that his giving him a boat and let him escape. Now here, one or two things. In the meantime, I must tell you what happened when he says that he is sending assassins and he is waiting. What he says? Say, doctor, I have got something I want to say to you. If I hadn't met a Jap like you, well, I wouldn't be alive today. I know that. Sadao bowed, but he could not speak. Why? Because he had already traded his life. So, but when he finds that for 3 nights, the assassins as promised had not come, and his wife is pestering him to do something about this person. So he says that I am setting you free. So here he says, the young man stared at him, slowly comprehending, do I have to? Now he's so used to his hospitality that he doesn't want to leave his house. Do I have to? Sadao says, I think so. You understand? It's not hidden that you are here. Now everybody knows. Even the general knows that you are here. First of all, my servants knew, and now even the top person, top man knows that you are here. So, at night, a boat was prepared for the person. In the meantime, it was told that American's name was Tom. So Tom was dressed in Japanese clothes. He was given bottled water and some food items were also placed in the boat, and a torch was given. He was told that you row towards the island which is uninhabited. Why is it uninhabited? Because it is, whenever there are storms, it submerges, and it is so nearby, it need not be fortified. So nobody lives there. You go there and see that whenever there is a Korean fishing boat, wave it to them, and they are the only hope for you. He says that you can catch the fish very easily, but you have to eat them raw, because if you cook and burn fire, you will be immediately spotted. Then he goes to the general and tells him that the prisoner has escaped. The general says that I had promised you that I will send some assassins, but I forgot to send them. So here is very interesting thing. It was certainly very careless of me, the general said, but you understand, it was not lack of patriotism or dereliction of duty. Now the whole matter rests upon him. He looked anxiously at his doctor. If the matter would come out, you would understand that, wouldn't you? So Sadao says, certainly, Your Excellency. He suddenly comprehended that the general was in the palm of his hand, and that as a consequence he himself was perfectly safe. The general says, and to your zeal against the enemy you will be rewarded. Thank you, Your Excellency. But Sadao, searching the spot of black in the twilight sea that night, had his reward. Why? Because there was no person on that island. It means that he had escaped. Here, now he recalls his days in America where he was not treated well. And he says that, but he remembers his doctor, who that surgeon. What the surgeon says is very excellent. Is there? Surgeon says to him, while he was operating, his old American professor of anatomy had seen to that knowledge. Ignorance of the human body is a surgeon's cardinal sin. Sirs, he had thundered at his class year after year. To operate without as complete knowledge of the body as if you had made it, anything less than that is murder. So he remembered his good days also in America, how he was taught, how he met his wife Hannah there. But he also found that he was very ill-treated during his stay. So the last line is very interesting. He says, last line is really very interesting. Strange, I wonder, why I couldn't kill him. Here lies. But the prisoner of war, when he said that if persons like you were not there, I wouldn't have been alive. What's the reason of war? The illogicality of war. So, now, the question that I leave for your consideration is patriotism and your professional duty. What did you choose? Wasn't Dr. Sadao a patriot? I leave it to you to consider it. And when we meet again, if anybody who has some feedback to give it to me, I will be very happy to converse with all of you. Thank you very much for listening patiently. Thank you.